Hello everyone, Dominic here. Thank you for joining us today. This is a very special stream we've got for you today. We're joined by the Coalition of Parents in Esports. Now, we announced a partnership with Cope last month or a couple of months ago, and as part of that we want to be doing lots of content looking at what Cope does. You know, they're a coalition of parents, of talent and pro players in esports, helping to educate other parents, better understand the space. And I'm joined by three of the top members and the founders at Coalition of Parents in Esports now. So we're going to be chatting about what they do. Delighted to be doing this stream. If you have questions for them as we go, just ask them in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep track of those questions, and we'll cover them off as we go or towards the end. And And yeah, I'm just going to turn off notifications here for the followers because we're on the Twitch homepage at the moment, so we're getting a lot of followers. Thank you for tuning in. So without further ado, I'm just going to unmute my guests, and I'm going to make sure that we can sort this out. Right, here we go. Right. Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hi Dom.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
No
Thanks
problem.
for having us.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Well, thanks for joining us today, because you've tuned in, you've joined from different places around the world. So let's start with some introductions. Shay, maybe yourself, and then Chris, then Anne. Let us know, a bit about yourself, who you're the parent of in esports, and what it is you do, please.
Yes, I am. My name is Shay. I am the parent of Vanish Duster. And like many parents here, I joined when we played video games. He grew up in a house where we all played. But I never had really thought about it from a competitive standpoint until he started begging to go to LANs. And then the first time we went to a LAN, he got noticed. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. I really, like all of them, followed my son here.
Cool. Chris?
How are you? My name is Chris. I am the managing director for Cope, and my son is Misfit Skeptic. My son's been gaming his entire life, and I just embraced his career path and his decisions over the years and supported him as best as I could as he made his way through this field.
Absolutely. And Anne, I think you've got some fans in the Twitch chat already waiting to hear from you.
All right, okay. Hi everyone. So my name's Anne, and I'm the mum of Benji Fish. So he's a player with energy. And just like some of the others, he's been gaming since he was younger. He had an older brother, Charles, who was 7 years older. So we've always had games in the house, etc. And he's always shown a desire. He's always wanted to be a professional gamer. So, obviously once he got noticed and the age limit got reduced to 13, my lifestyle pretty much took on a different sort of stance, and got involved in really everything to do with esports.
Brilliant. So that's a great overview from the three of you, but tell us a little bit about Cope. Maybe Shay, you can get started, or whoever wants to talk. Why did you set this up? How did it sort of come about?
Well, it really just started because I think we all recognized a need. When each of us joined this community, I really joined just to help my son. And when I started looking around, I joined Twitter and I joined other things. I was really looking for information, and I was surprised to find there really wasn't much. I was finding that he was doing most of this on his own, and I was having a hard time really understanding how I could even help him. And I found myself, every time I went to a LAN event, it was the parents that I wanted to talk to. Because as soon as I would see a parent, I would like, wait, how did they do this? And so that's kind of how it started for me. And then the same on Twitter. I think all of us parents, when we do join, we look on Twitter, and if we notice another parent, it's like, oh my gosh, there's another one. And so we tended to all follow each other. And really, Coalition of Parents in Esports started last summer in June, when Anne created a video for parents. And when she posted it on Twitter that she had created this YouTube, for parents, a lot of the other parents immediately jumped in and said, that's fantastic. That's what we need. And the comments on there, there were so many that were watching all of these parents interact and talk to each other. One of the creators said, you guys should organize. And we joked about it in the chat, but later that night I thought, we really should. And so that's kind of how it all started. The other co-founder is Dave, who's the dad of Crims. A lot of people know him online as Crims' dad. And I sent him a DM that night and said, let's do this. And so very quickly over the next month, we got other parents on board, and we put this together.
Excellent. And are you all, sort of co-founders, tell us a bit about your role in the coalition.
Well, I think the official co-founders were Dave and I, just because it started one night with us talking about it. But we've brought a lot of other parents on board as well. Chris was the first one that I brought on board, and he's now our managing director. But we also have an additional 20 parents, which we call the board of advisors. And this continues to grow. And Anne is on our board of advisors. And we are now actually even expanding outside of Fortnite. That's where we started. But we have parents that span Rainbow Six, COD, even Minecraft.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Anne, what remind us, what is your role at COPE?
Well, no, I'm just acting as advisor. Right. So with them, so that, and as I say, that there's several other parents that are doing that as well. So just from the experiences that we've gained over the couple of years that I've been involved with Benji, etc.
And I think from a British Esports perspective, obviously for people watching, we have our British Esports Championships for schools and colleges here in the UK for students aged 12 plus. So there's a lot of, I guess, similarities between us, and I'm really glad we've got this partnership. And my first question for all of you is, what is it like being a parent of an esports player, or someone talented in esports? Because the founder of British Esports, Chester King, he got ideas for setting up British Esports Association because his son was going to bed late, playing too much Call of Duty in a team and so on, then realised there's this whole world. So, tell us about your journeys in this space, because esports is still quite a new thing, really. So you must have interesting stories to tell, how you sort of all got into it. Who wants to go first?
I mean, for me, it was it came back quite unexpectedly. So Benji had been obviously he was playing loads of games, as you said, with Chester, sort of staying up late in the evenings playing tournaments. And then he played back in February 2019. He played in a tournament called Montana Black with Mr. Savage, so Martin as his duo, which they won. So I remember him coming into me about midnight one Sunday night, telling me that he'd won $10,000. So that was really the start of it. And then very shortly after that, a few days later, they announced the lowering of the age limit from 16 to 13. So he was then able to compete in the World Cup. But yeah, and then sort of things very much snowballed from there, really. I would say, what is it like being a parent? I would say you've got to be prepared for the unexpected. So nothing seems to be planned out, certainly within Fortnite. So tournaments can spring up, randomly without any notice. So, for example, there was after the World Cup, there was a trios tournament. And Benji came into me, gave me about 48 hours notice that he wanted to go and boot camp in Frankfurt for a month. And so then it was a case of trying to coordinate all of that. And then equally, sort of another example is we'd planned to go to Tokyo for a tournament. And then all of a sudden Winter Royale got announced. And so in the end, we had to... he had to postpone Tokyo. I mean, I spent ages trying to work out, could we fly out to Tokyo, stay for literally 48 hours and then fly all the way back again. But in the end, the tournament got postponed because of Winter Royale. But yeah, I would think just you can never tell what's going to happen, certainly within Fortnite, unlike some of the other tournaments that have set schedules. So.
And you're his manager as well, is that right, Anne?
Yeah, I do look after, but he's also signed with recently signed with Loaded, so they also help look after from the sponsorship side and sort of they're looking after sort of like merchandise and branding and things for him. So it's a combination between us.
you can see there's real similarities with sports, right? Because in football, you get young talent in football, and you tend to find that the parents act as their agents at that point, so there's real similarities there. Shay and Chris, maybe you can tell us a bit about your stories, how it all began.
Chris, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Shay. So yeah, like Ann had mentioned, being the parent of a gamer, esports player, it's a lot of keeping us on our toes, keeping us on our feet, and just kind of winging it and going with the flow. When my son when Skeptic first started out, he was very much into content creation and being a YouTuber. That's what he's always wanted to be. But at the core of it, gaming was always there. From the age of 2, it was, he picked up the DS and was hooked on, Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, all those Nintendo games. But, he was also very active with baseball and soccer, very involved with some of the more traditional sports as well. But as he lost interest in those, he always fell back to gaming. It was always his first love. So by the age of 10, he was very much into, he's dead set on being a YouTuber. That's what he always wanted to be. So he would, start making his own videos. He would be playing Roblox and, Minecraft with his friends, and he'd have his iPad set up, pointed at the TV, and his friend on speakerphone, so they could emulate the in-game chat, because he didn't have all the right equipment for it. But one thing we did notice were the similarities with sports, traditional sports. When he was in baseball and soccer, we'd make sure he had the best equipment, the best bat, the best glove, helmet, shin guards, whatever it may be. So we just decided to embrace gaming the same way we did a sport and make sure he had the best equipment. We didn't just hand it out to him. We made sure, he earned it, and, he worked for it, whether by going to work with his mom, picking up extra chores around the house to earn some extra money and save up for his own equipment. So yeah, by the time he started streaming full time and gaming and playing Fortnite, he was playing smaller tournaments. And then there was the Running with Tfue that kind of blew up his channel, and he started getting hosted by Fortnite, and his numbers just started, blowing up. So it was a lot of just trying to wrap our heads around what this gaming world was, and we didn't know what to expect. And back to your early question, what Shay was saying earlier, there was really nothing for me to fall back on, nothing for me to rely on as far as information about gaming and esports. It was a lot of learning on our feet, whether it's learning from Griffin and his friends or just trial by error and just seeing what happened along the way. So yeah, the more we got into going to LAN events and going to TwitchCon, everything just kind of blew up, and there would be lines of kids waiting to meet Griffin. When we went to TwitchCon, it was kind of the most eye-opening experience for me anyway. He couldn't walk 5 feet without being stopped for an autograph or a picture. So just trying to wrap my head around that was kind of difficult. But like I said, we just embraced it, went with it, and just seeing how cool and collected he was along the way, and he embraced it and went with it. So we just kind of followed his lead. And as soon as I met all these other parents at conferences and LANs, it was kind of a sigh of relief, because we all had each other to lean on and confide in and work with and help each other through all these.
And that's what Cope is all about, really. That's the impression I get, this support network. Shay, tell us about yourself, your background, please.
Yeah, with Devin, with Duster, it was very much that of, he was a really into a lot of sports. And so I thought of him as a really, active, athletic kid. He played soccer or football. He was actually a competitive figure skater. So he was used to getting up very early in the morning and spending lots of hours on the ice and practicing. And I always saw gaming as his outlet. So when suddenly it started to become something that he was really interested in, and he was asking to spend more time with that and less time with other things, I didn't understand at first. But then when I started watching him and I saw how much he loved it, I thought, okay, he's really found something here. He's found something he really cares about. And so at that point, I started going to events with him. And, we're more typical of the other families. We went to World Cup as fans. A few of Devin's friends qualified. He didn't quite qualify, but I told him if any of his best friends qualified, we would go. So we were lucky. We got to go. We got to stay in the hotel with all the pro players, and we had an absolute blast. But what was amazing for me about it is, I was just here to support this interest of his. And instead, I found myself getting drawn into it as well, because it was really the passion. I was meeting these kids who had so much passion and so much drive and had built something at such a young age. It just blew me away. And then I also started meeting the people that were forming businesses around esports. And that included Zoomers, kids who were doing it themselves, but it also included a lot of adults. And I just was totally amazed, because I come from the .com era. I was part of a software company, back in the day. And so that to me had been so exciting. And it amazed me that my 14-year-old son had found something that was equally as exciting. So I kind of jumped in with him.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I guess, a lot of parents out there have gone through similar situations to you in terms of getting into esports, following their child's progress in this space, or in the streaming world as well, even outside of esports. I guess this happens. What are the sort of most common questions you get from other parents? Because there must be, for some people, there's this notion that gaming isn't a proper quote unquote career and things like that, because historically it hasn't been an obvious career to many people. It's only really the past decade or so in esports in particular that in the Western world we've seen how it can offer careers. So do you think, for me it's great to see Cope being established, because I think that will change perceptions that a lot of people have, and as awareness of esports increases, that will help as well. But I guess you're getting more and more parents coming to you with questions. Are there sort of some frequent questions, or do you have any advice for other parents out there, perhaps, as to what they can do?
From my side, I mainly get because I'm on the peripheral of Cope and obviously in the UK as well, I'm primarily getting calls and messages from other players, young players, where their parents don't understand about esports, and so therefore it's a case of asking them to reach out to me to say, how can I explain to my parents about that I want to get involved in esports, or I want to be a content creator, etc. So therefore, it's a case of directing them, to the resources that Cope has got. Yourselves at the British Esports Association have got a brilliant page there for parents. And then also, giving them advice about sort of, obviously, parents at the end of the day want the best for their children. And so obviously that the main thing that parents want is, it's all about education, isn't it? So, you've got to have a career, and they see gaming very much as secondary. So it's explaining the fact that there are skills, those transferable skills that they learn while they're gaming. There are other careers that they can do, longer term. So showing them, and then they can go to their parents and sort of give them the information. Equally, alongside Cope, for example, I'm actually working on a book with Johnny, who's Miss Savage's dad, to actually also explain about what life as a professional esports / Fortnite player is about. And that also covers things like how to balance your education, career opportunities, and all aspects of being a pro gamer. So hopefully between all of us, Cope, British Esports, maybe this book, then we can start getting the message out to parents that it is okay for their children to get involved in gaming, and there are positives from there.
Yeah, definitely. And just before the others jump in as well, and it's what I've seen as well that's been fascinating to me is that parents like yourselves have almost become influencers in a way, because you've got almost 60,000 followers on Twitter, and because of a lot of people who follow Benji will become aware of you and the content you're producing. And I've seen other parents like Caps's dad, the dad of the big G2 League of Legends player, produces little videos and dances when Caps wins a match and things like that. That's great to see as well. That must have been a bit surreal, getting this following yourselves as well.
Very much so, yes. It was completely unexpected, but yes, I mean, if I can help people, as I say, I get quite a lot of children reaching out to me, or young adults reaching out for help, and also the other question I get a lot asked about is the tax situation, because Epic take 30% of any income, so to the IRS, but there is a way to actually claim that back. So that is also a go-to question that I'm always getting asked about. So,
is there anything you want to expand on there, Shay or Chris?
Well, no, she really hit it right now, and that's why COPE is really here, both for the gamers and for their parents, because most parents find us through their children right now. We hope to change that. We're trying to reach more parents through Facebook and Clubhouse and other means where they will be. But, parents don't know to ask these questions right now. And so, most of our questions come from gamers, and I would say at least 50% of them are exactly what Ann was talking about, of how do I talk to my mom? How do I explain to them this is important to me? How do I show them those aspects? And we spend a lot of time, providing information about the positives and helping them talk to their parents. Some of our other questions, are around issues with Epic and with Twitch, and around their accounts and their ages, accounts getting banned. And we have been able to help here. And this is where, a lot of these issues probably wouldn't even be happening if there were more parent involvement. And so that's really where we're trying to educate parents and kids to get their parents involved.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Chris.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, over the years, just from being with my son at LAN events, conferences, meet and greets, one of the biggest things I find is that the parents that I meet are willing to support their kids and want to support their kids. But, my son's at a meet and greet, I have, a line of parents waiting to meet me to kind of pick my brain. And the biggest questions all revolve around how. How do you manage his schooling? How do you manage his social life? Those are the biggest questions that I deal with. So I just try to tell them that, treat it like every other sport. I know we touched on this before. It'll be a common theme going throughout everything. Just treat it like every other sport. You don't question your son's practice time in baseball, on the baseball field or on the basketball court. Don't be there to support your kid and help him practice and get better at his craft and what he's passionate about. And just be there to support them.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, at the end of the day? And I think in esports as well, it's especially with what we've been going through over the past year or so now with the pandemic, it can be hard for esports players to have a support network. I hear stories with esports players feeling a bit lonely, stuck indoors. Yes, they've got these digital friendships, but it can be very different to how other generations grew up during their age as well. So the support, I think, is really key. Just out of interest, how big is the network now? I'm guessing you've seen a lot of demand, because you're still quite new, really, right? Half a year old, but it seems like it's going from strength to strength.
Actually, it's not even that old. We didn't even launch until late October.
Right. Okay.
And we actually only spent the first few months figuring out what we were going to be, and we decided we wanted to be a nonprofit, and then we had to apply for everything. So we actually only got approved as a nonprofit over Christmas.
Right. Okay.
So we really are just getting started now. We really just spent the first 6 months putting the word out, saying we were planning to do this, and asking people for their advice. If we do this, how can we make a difference? And it has been amazing to me how quickly we've been embraced by the publishers, by Epic, by the platforms like Twitch. And I think they're all just really excited. There's a group of parents that are here, and they're reaching out and saying, how can we help? Our network also goes deep with the teams right now. A lot of the teams have really embraced us. And now that we have the ability to do fundraising events, we'll be working a lot more closely with the teams as they help us do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's really impressive to hear. So this is a world exclusive then, this interview stream?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right, okay, that's great. Were you, I've got to ask, what were your sort of thoughts before your children got into esports? You know, what were your thoughts towards gaming? Were you a bit skeptical when, in the beginning, you know, when you heard them saying, oh, you can win big prize pools and this and that?
Probably for me, I didn't really know that much about esports as such. You just like a normal parent, you know, your child is playing, you know, gaming online. You know, Benji used to watch a lot. I know a lot of the League of Legends tournaments and things, so he was quite big into that. So he was always asking to stay up sort of late when the tournaments were on, etc. So I didn't have any concept really at all about what esports was about. Obviously I knew, because Fortnite and that and some of those tournaments were, you know, it wasn't really out there until they announced like the World Cup, etc. So it was quite a surreal experience. Obviously I had known that Benji had always wanted to become a pro gamer, but actually quite what that entailed, I didn't really know too much about it. Obviously I was, you know, initially Benji was very, like the others, was actually quite sporty. So obviously his two big games that he loved and was very passionate about was 10-pin bowling and cricket. I mean, he started 10-pin bowling when he was 2 years old and did his first tournament when he was 3. And he actually was doing really well. He had plans to, the idea was for him to play for England. Even actually, we were looking into the possibility of him going to college in the US and getting some sort of scholarship out there. Because I know 10-pin bowling tends to be a lot more, is a lot bigger in the States than it is in the UK. But yes, we used to get coached. We used to go up to Dunstable and get coached by some of the England coaches up there.
Wow.
But then he developed Osgood Schlatters. So he was in a lot of pain, both in his knees and his back. And I mean, literally, if you saw him after he played, you'd think he was about 70, to be honest. No. He really struggled to walk. So he then had to literally come off all sports for about a year. And it was during that time that then allowed him the time to actually, you know, go on and spend more sort of gaming, etc., or being online, etc. So I don't know whether I didn't have any preconceived ideas. I just wanted to support him in whatever he wanted to do. And, you know, initially, as I say, it was, you know, 10-pin bowling and cricket, etc. And then sort of it migrated more to the, you know, gaming and esports.
So maybe we can push Epic to introduce a 10-pin bowling mode in Fortnite.
Yes. Well, actually, we used to play Nintendo Wii. They brought out the 10-pin bowling at the time. We spent quite a lot of time doing that, which was quite good fun. So it's a good family sort of activity as well with that.
Wii Sports. My son is just turned 4 years old, and Mario Tennis has been the first game that he's sort of got into and got quite good at. So I'm happy with that. My wife is quite strict with, obviously, like age ratings and things like that. And he wanted to play Smash Brothers the other day, and I couldn't believe that actually has a 12 age rating, which I was very surprised by. I thought it was 7 or so. But
I must admit, having an older brother, if the age limits maybe don't quite stick to it, especially because there's like a 7-year age difference. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts on expanding on that, Shay or Chris? Any sort of preconceived ideas? Because for me, you know what frustrates me is seeing headlines in some traditional broadcasters that will be very sensationalist. They might either go, "Oh, gaming is bad for you; it's done this, this, and this," or it might be, "Oh, actually, gaming is really good for you; it's done this, this, and this." There doesn't seem to be a lot of balance there. I don't know if you might be seeing that and maybe laugh at a few headlines that you see, but it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts as well on, how you feel like what people's general perceived view of esports and esports careers is.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any preconceived notions or ideas about esports when Griffin was growing up and coming up on the scene. I was a casual gamer growing up,
Right.
Nintendo, PlayStation, but gaming nowadays isn't like gaming when I was a kid. It's a whole totally different scene, different environment. um, but when I was playing Halo and with Griffin as he was coming up, and I saw how good he was, you, I knew that there was something to it. And watching him when he first started his stream, how entertaining and engaging he was, it was pretty fascinating to me. So I just kind of embraced it and ran with it. And I've always known that esports was a thing, gaming was a thing. It's been there because Griffin, all he did was watch YouTube. There was really never any many TV shows watching that he was watching. It was mostly YouTubers. So I knew it was there, and I knew the potential was there. Um, I didn't know how big the scene was and how much potential there really was to it all. So the more I got involved with it, and the more I saw, it just opened my eyes to all the different career paths there are to it. And it's not just gaming and sitting behind your computer and entertaining. There's managing, there's coaching, there's videography, there's shoutcasting, there's esports health, HR, working for organizations. There are all these different avenues and career paths that people can go into. So that was pretty eye opening for me the more I got into it.
Yeah, 100%. Shay, anything you'd like to add on that?
Yes, I think the one theme here is that, we all supported our kids. We probably all pushed back a little bit at first when we didn't really understand what they were doing. Mm-hmm. But when we realized they had passion about it, we jumped in. And, myself, I came from a technical background. I actually wrote my first game in college. And so I loved gaming, but I had no idea that it could be, I had no idea what esports was at the time my son really got into it. So it was eye-opening to me. And you really hit on one of the main reasons we organized COPE. It wasn't just to support other parents, but also to change that view in the media. Because, both Chris and Ann can tell you stories about having their sons interviewed and having it all be very positive and then having them put a negative spin on it. And then just recently, last weekend, the New York Times put out an article that got a lot of press about this family that was really upset during the pandemic because their son was spending so much time online. He was getting so much screen time and they were worried about it. And there was a quote from the dad that, "I am not losing my son to this." And that to us is just so frustrating because here was this kid, he can't go outside and play his regular sports with his friends. And to us, I see that as an opportunity for him to be, competitive in something else and to also be interacting with friends online. And so I want to reach out to that parent and say, here, let us help you. Let us show you the positive aspects. Let us show you how this can help your kid with education and can help them choose a college and maybe even get a scholarship, and look at all these great career paths that are available.
Yeah, I saw that story that you shared on Twitter, and it had a lot of responses, and a lot of people were saying, well, this article fails to touch on the angle that, what would that child be doing if we didn't have video games during the pandemic? They'd be a lot less engaged. So, yeah, I think that's important to know, absolutely. What would you like to see improve in esports? Because esports is still quite new on the grand scheme of things, and the different game publishers will have different rules, different prize pools and initiatives. Is there anything you'd like to see change, or game publishers or esports to improve in the future?
Is it Chris? I think you might be better at answering that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say getting more communication out to the parents and getting more communication out to families about what gaming and what esports really is, and how publishers like Epic and Riot and all these publishers can help support and nourish these kids. And yeah, just getting the information out there to tell the parents and show the parents what this world is all about. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've asked about what other parents and sort of common requests you get and things like that. Negative stigmas. We've covered off quite a lot, actually. Are there any things that you've learnt that you wish you would have known sooner? I mean, you all seem pretty clued in.
I remember, I mean, I was quite fortunate because Benji was duoing with Mr. Savage, Martin. And so we had the opportunity quite quickly to go over to meet them for the first time over in Oslo. And I remember sitting down with Johnny because he was a few months ahead of me because Martin had signed at Christmas. And he was telling me all the information about, how he'd set up the company and what he was doing and, all the different things. And I must admit, I remember coming away from that meeting with literally gave me a sort of headache, sort of thinking, oh, my God, this is just so much bigger than I really anticipated. I mean, I do come from a business background. I've had my own company. Which used to be in training, computer training and management. So it's not like I'm completely, diverse from that, from the whole business sort of side. I do accounts and everything, but I just hadn't really sort of realized it was as big as it was. So certainly sort of, for new parents, being able to have, like Cope or someone that they can reach out to find out information. But also things like being able to understand the contracts, I know you can go to lawyers, but there are other things that you need to take into consideration, like, sponsorships and how the contract's actually worded that maybe lawyers are not so familiar with, whereas other parents would be. Even simple things that I hadn't realized that when you sign up to Twitch, it's only for 2 years and that there's an automatic renewal. So I only actually found that out, a few months ago. So that you can actually put a 90-day notice in, for example, and then, talk to Twitch about sort of various deals and things. So I hadn't actually, I'm still learning at the moment. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely
good to have the other parents to talk to.
Yeah, I think we're all still kind of learning as we go. And like Ann said, it's great to have the other parents that we can learn with and bounce ideas off each other and confide in each other and help each other out. Fortunately, I was very lucky with Griffin when he first got started out. He was picked up by a great organization in Misfits, and they were very good to us and treated us like a family, treated him like a family. But one of the things, like I had mentioned before, that I wish I had known was how really big this community was. I knew it was big, but it's a lot bigger and much more vast than I had anticipated.
Mm. And if a parent is interested in joining you or receiving more information from Cope, how can they go about getting in touch or getting involved?
They can reach out to us on any of the socials. We have the website, cope.gg, but they can also reach us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever they want to go.
Okay, so it's pretty easy to get in touch then. That's great. So just coming towards the end of this, we've almost been an hour. It's been quite a good time at the moment. I've actually been commissioned by Barclays to write an article about esports going mainstream, and I'd love to hear your views. I immediately thought of you guys because, for me, esports going mainstream isn't just the numbers and things like that, it's the awareness. And I think the fact that you've got this coalition of parents now and different generations are more aware of esports now than they were, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. Do you feel like esports is entering the mainstream now, and as people are becoming more aware of it, or do you think it will be a little bit more of its own world, its own niche?
I think it is going to take a little bit more time. It's still relatively new, really. I think actually in some respects, because everyone has been working online and at home in recent months, due to the various lockdowns, then people are more aware of that online community and sort of like the way their children and communicate, etc. Because we're having like Zoom meetings and get-togethers, etc. online. But I think it is changing slowly. But I think it will take a little while before you start seeing, a bit like you see the football matches on TV and things and whatever. I think it will be a little while before we start, seeing any sort of maybe esports on the main screen. But certainly on Twitch, actually, that is becoming very popular. I mean, some of the amount of people watching, some of the tournaments that have been going on recently has been insane, really. So, it's, hundreds of thousands of people watching. So, it's a good direction, but I think it will take a little bit while longer.
Yeah, it'll definitely take time, but it's also a lot bigger than it was 5-10 years ago. Like you had said, it's slowly making its way, and even just in the past year with lockdown, you're starting to see a lot more kids play and get into gaming because they can't get outside and can't go hang out with their friends. So the next best thing is going to play with their friends online. So Fortnite alone, 2019, it was up around 250 million users, and the jump to 2020 was, I think, up around 350 million users. And when you look at the event they had in December, there were over 15 million concurrent users playing the game at the same time, which is unreal.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So, and just the announcement of the World Cup a couple of years ago, I think that just kind of blew up the whole scene and put it on the map for everybody. So it's becoming more of a household topic. But like Ann said, there's still a ways to go. There's still a lot more progress to make, and it'll get there. It'll get to where the more traditional sports are. It'll become more mainstream over time.
I think the World Cup really helped put esports on the map in general as well. That prize pool, I think at the time that prize pool was higher than the previous highest prize pool, which was the Dota 2 International. Now that's eclipsed the World Cup, but at the time it was so big it caught a lot of the mainstream media's attention. We had a lot of interview requests here at British Esports and things like that, and that was great to see. Our poor stream producer Elliot, we sent him all around the country to do media interviews and things like that. It was during a heat wave, I think, as well, so I remember that really well. So just tying things up then, wrapping things up, what's next for Cope? What are your plans for the future?
Well, we touched on it earlier, but one of the big plans now is we're now getting into the fundraising side of it. And what we intend to do with this is to give back to the community. So we are working with other organizations to give back to schools, but specifically Cope wants to give back to individual gamers. We want to provide scholarships that can be used either for setups or for their education. And so we're really getting focused now on raising money for that. And then touching on, your last subject, one more thing I wanted to say about that. Chris and I actually attended the e-business business summit at the end of last year. And that was eye-opening for me and I do think the pandemic has had a huge of impact on this. There were so many traditional brands there that were looking for esports representation. I mean, Procter and Gamble was there. And so I think as we start to see more of this, we start to see the fast food chains and we start to see the candy companies who are bringing in esports. I do think that's going to have a massive impact.
Yeah, 100%. And we're seeing it, aren't we? More and more. Who was it the other week? Adidas announced a deal with G2 Esports. You know, we're seeing more and more of these things, these big brands. XL Esports, one of the UK's top organisations here, did a deal with Chupa Chups, the sweet brand. Lollipop, that's it. That's the word I was thinking of, a lollipop brand. Yeah. And I think that will continue, absolutely. F1, there's been a lot of sponsorships there. So I guess coming to the end then, if there's anyone in the chat that has any questions for anyone at Cope, Shay, Chris or Anne, please ask them now. We'll do our best to cover off a few questions before we end. But is there anything else you'd like to add, any of you, while we're waiting for any potential questions? I haven't seen many questions come in, but yeah.
I think the main thing I want to add is just to tell kids to talk to your parents. We've said it a few times here, but parents really do want the best for you. The only reason they're afraid of gaming is they think it's going to take away from your education or your career path. Show them something different. Show them how this is going to help you grow. Parents want to cheer you on. They love being on the sidelines of any sport. How many of your parents know how to sign on to Twitch and watch a tournament? You know, how many of you have showed them how to use Fortnite Tracker when you're in a tournament? You know, get them engaged. I know your parents don't understand this space very well, but if you explain it to them, they will want to cheer you on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, I mean, very much so. It's just talking to them and having that conversation, and sort of showing them what the possible opportunities and career paths are, that, you know, and the skills that you're learning is key, because parents, as Shay said, you know, you just want the best for your child. If it would be easy if they were wanted to be an actor or be on the West End stage or, you know, be a footballer, you know, that parents would understand it a bit more and be there. You know, if they wanted, you know, tennis, you know, you'd put them into various, you know, try and get them lessons and things and whatever. So esports is no different from that. So it's just something that they don't really understand too much.
No, some good points there. Chris, anything else before we jump into a couple of questions?
No, I think we touched on everything, and like Shay and Ann said, communication is key, whether it's in everything with life, whether it's school, work, business, and it's particularly important with your parents.
Definitely. So we've got a couple of questions here. Soraya Fanatic has asked, "Hey guys, fantastic panel. What do you think the organisations can do to support parents more?" So we touched on this earlier. I guess we talked more about publishers and developers, but is there anything that the teams or the organisations could do to better support parents? Or are you happy with how they are? You know, because for some people, the top organisations are professional, aren't they? It's the semi-pro and lower level that can get more challenges.
My only experiences with Energy, so, you know, from my perspective, you know, they've been really, really supportive, etc. So I know a lot of the smaller organizations don't always have maybe quite the same setup, etc. But I'm not so familiar with how they work, so I'm not too sure what advice I could give to them.
No, that's fine. And then we've got another question here from EPN Gaming has asked, "Hi, I was just wondering if there is any particular relationship between Cope and schools out there. Is it a bit early for that at the moment? I mean, British Esports have lots of schools on our championship, so there's possibilities there, right, for education."
Yes, actually, we are forming them. We are also partnering with NASIF in the U.S. and soon across the world as they become WWSEF. And with that network, we will be working with quite a few schools, but we're also working with individual schools. This includes universities and lower schools, and we're also partnering with Dell Education and Microsoft Education.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I think that's everything. Godfist Jambo, I know he's a League of Legends player, has said, my dad always hated driving me to events and such, but my mum would love to get me out of the house, lol. So yeah, it depends on the parent as well, right? Maybe if you're a young player, find the parent that will understand esports a little bit more. Like, for example, my mum just can't stand gaming and doesn't understand it at all, whereas my dad, back in the day, played Doom and a few of the old games and got me into games in a way as well.
I did resist trying to take Benji to LAN competitions because I couldn't. I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do for like 2 or 3 days camped out in the field, sort of, or whatever, or camped out. So, yeah.
So actually, Anne brings up a good point there. I hope Twitch is watching. One of the things that Chris and I really want to make a change is at events, we want a place for parents. I mean, how many parents go to TwitchCon and don't know what to do with themselves? We wander around looking for something to do. We usually find each other and then congregate. We really think there needs to be a place for parents at things like TwitchCon so that they can, get information from other parents. They can get information from teams. But they can also just meet each other and have a place to socialize for them.
It's almost like the tables have turned like a creche or something. A parent's creche.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Gosh, that's a great way to look at it.
Yep.
But yeah, we want a Cope tent. We want a place where parents can go hang out.
Yeah, I think a parent lounge, just like the partner lounge, would go a long way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if talking back to the publishers and everybody, it's really engaging the parents, getting them involved. And Soroy asked about what teams can do. The thing that I think is really okay, so we deal with a lot of pro players here, but there's, for all those other kids that are out there, it's getting your those kids engaged with your team as well, and that goes with marketing your team members and merchandise and stuff they can buy, but also engaging them. I think the junior teams are fantastic, ways for kids to try out and become part of a bigger team is really awesome.
It's quite difficult actually to actually break into the scene at the moment, because there isn't that. There are junior teams starting, and quite a lot of the organizations do have sort of like these junior teams, but there aren't that many of them. So because there's literally so many children wanting to, trying to compete for the, to get on the leaderboards and get noticed, there isn't really the mechanism for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you don't need, a lot of people need to also realize that you don't need to place top 10 in every FNCS or have 10, 15,000 viewers on Twitch or YouTube to be successful. Embrace each kid's different milestones and their successes as they come. And like we had touched on a couple times earlier, there's so many different career paths and so many opportunities for everybody. It's a wide open field.
And that's a good point there, Chris, because I know a few streamers in the UK that might get, 300, 400 viewers, like on average, but they're making a full-time career out of it because those 400 are very engaged and subscribe to them, and they have a few sponsor deals or whatever else, and they take part in Twitch Rivals tournaments. Success doesn't always mean you have 50,000, whatever it is, followers and millions of views. You don't need that to make a career in esports, or gaming. And just to end on then, there's a good comment here from Jones. Great panel and organisation. Just sitting down for a CSGO in-game economy lesson with my son. The more you understand about esports, the more you respect it and the decisions your kids are making. So
yeah, very true.
Perfect.
That ties in nicely with what you were all saying, and I think is a perfect way to close this stream off. So thank you again for this great insight. I look forward to seeing what how British Esports and Cope can work together in the future, and keep us posted on your developments, because the school partnerships and the funding you were talking about, scholarships, Shay, and so on, is very interesting. And I'm sure Cope is going to grow very fast, and I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again for having us. Pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining us, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so just to round off there, thanks again everyone for watching. I've been Dominic Sacco. This is probably my last interview panel stream from British Esports, stepping back at the end of this week, but I will be working 1 day a week after that. And just to give you a heads up on what's coming next from us, on Wednesday I believe we have a League of Legends show match. It's not 100% confirmed. I think it's pretty much confirmed. One of my colleagues has been working on that, and it looks to be, hopefully we'll have some of the top school and college League of Legends teams taking part. That's 4 p.m. GMT this Wednesday. And then on Friday, we usually have a fun Friday stream from Elliot, our resident Twitch maestro and stream producer, where we do he does a fun quiz and community games and takes part in just fun activities with a real nice chilled out stream from 4 p.m. GMT to 6 p.m. But as it's my last day of full-time work with British Esports, he's given me guest access to Fun Friday. So this Friday it's going to be me streaming the Fun Friday stream. 2 hours of silliness, just fun. To be honest, I'll probably stream some Hearthstone and some World of Warcraft. I've been playing Hearthstone recently, and that's been a lot of fun. Maybe you can tune in, tell me what decks to use, tell me what to do in the game, or maybe even get some of you playing Warcraft with me, some PvP. We'll see what happens. And I'll also do a quiz for you as well. I haven't thought of the theme of the quiz yet. I might do British Esports related, test your knowledge of British Esports history, because I've been here 4 or 5 years now since we were founded, and I might do that. So thanks everyone for watching again. We've had some amazing numbers and Twitch homepage promotion, near 2,500 views at some point, so that was incredible to see. You've all been great in the chat, no problems there. Thanks again for watching, and Sacco signing out for now.
Into the evening.
Hey, British Esports, thank you for the raid, much appreciated. What were you streaming?
Ready to get started?
So what do we want to start off with here? Reduce the cost of upgrading Bob's Tavern by 1 gold. That should be pretty good for us. Should, right? Noise. Oh, I might need to put it off follow mode. No follow mode! There you go. Plebeians can talk. That's always confused you. Yeah, that's always confused you. You should get raided. You should get raided. Or hasted or anything. Ow. It's a draw. Hey Dom. How you doing, man? And thank you again for the raid. So if I upgrade, I get 2 gold. So if I do that, then we can buy a minion. Holy moly, I am smart. Very smart. Let's take a taunt. You're going full-time with esports news next week? Oh, good luck, dude. Good luck. Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Just doing a slight change of pace of league stuff. That reminds me, actually, I've been asked today too, and a couple of other people have been asked to find players for Wild Rift for a Riot tournament or something, but I'm retired. Was BG Battlegrounds? It's like auto chess, I guess. It's like TFT, but with cards. It's the best. Did we win that last fight? Wasn't even paying attention. I think we did, didn't we? So if we can't level up, can we? Give this minion's attack to a random friendly minion. That sounds garbage. Demon 2/2. After you play an elemental, give another friendly. But these aren't very good. Ah. Didn't really read what that said. After this minion survives being attacked, attack immediately. Oh, I shouldn't have. Oh. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have put it on the far left. No, I lost a round. Yes. Alright, take care, man. Thank you. Add a minion to Bob's Tavern for the rest of the game. Oh, yeah, I like the sound of that. When you sell this, add a 2/2 elemental to your hand. Let me just level up, don't we? And then we can just buy one of these then still. Oh, we should have grabbed one of these. Oopsies. It's okay. Guess I need to focus on pirates this game.
I wanna stay in the bush, it's cozy.
Hey Stillrose, thank you for the 5 months. Thank you very much, man. We deaders again.
Rough battle. Pick yourself back up and turn it around.
Give 3 random friendly minions of different minion types 1/1. I mean, I could level up. Level up. Then that would put me in a 3, then I could buy one of these minions anyway. Or I could YOLO gamble, I could sell one of these pirates. It's YOLO gamble. What do we got? Maybe play a pirate, gain 1/1. Another pirate there. You could sell that. Okay. I don't know if that was smart or not. I have no brain. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, surely his tavern level's quite high at this rate, surely. Level 2 tavern, is that what that means? Or is that just 4th place? That's 4th place, isn't it? Holy crap, this guy's got a lot on the board. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Was I too greedy for tavern levels? Ow! Maybe I was too greedy for tavern levels. Whenever a friendly taunt minion is attacked, gain 1/1 permanently. Ugh. Any pirates? Whenever another friendly pirate attacks, give it 2/2. Yeah, I'll have that. We can do one more roll. What else we got? Whenever you sell this minion, give all minions in Bob's Tavern a possible 1/1. And I guess we gotta take something for the board anyway, right? We'll take it for the board. Alright. Got a load of pirates.
Keep up the momentum, friend.
Well, they're not really buffed up at all, though, are they? Uh-oh, that's a 10-12. That ain't good. Uh-oh. 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 We got a little bit wrecked there, I don't know about that. I got like 1 more 10. Might legit come last, actually.
11 to 12. I think then Wednesday we can do 11:30, 9 to 10:30, then 2:15, 9 to 10:30, and 2:15.
Also damages the minion next to it, whoever it attacks. So another one there. Egg is also a mech.
That'll do some damage.
I'm so stupid.
Steady hand.
Crap, I need to hurry up. I don't know what any of these guys do. I don't recognize their faces. There's another one of those.
Go big or go home, I always say.
Could have had a triple on that if we had bought the.
You got this. You're
We probably
way
wouldn't have had
ahead.
enough. Oh, there's a triple there. No! Too slow. Too slow to freeze. No triple for me. Can't tell if we're winning or losing this fight. Doesn't look good though, does it? Jesus, what the hell? We lost our first fight. No. Yeah, that cleave's gonna be a problem.
The battle is really raging out there.
Return a friendly non-golden minion in your hand, give it 2/2. When your hero takes physical damage, prevent it and become immune this turn.